What's going on? Danny Crew, it's Danny Drew here, and we are back for another day of Catan. We are live on the Twitch. Come by, say hi sometime. We have a great time here. Also, coming back to the channel, I'm super excited to be able to deliver content, show up, bring the good vibes. And here today, we are going to be looking at Orang. So this is going to be our secondary account. Currently, our main account, well, it was number one. I think it just got knocked a day or so. Yeah, so this is the account you're going to be seeing as we kind of go through the levels and play through the rank this season. But this was game number 10 of our placement. So after this, we are going to get a provisional rating. My goal with this game here, because I record on my iPad, is to walk through some of my decision making, kind of point out, why I did certain things, how I paced it, essentially give you the rundown to what makes this game interesting to watch. Guys, are you ready? Welcome to the party. Hi, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Let's go, crew. Hi, Vimeo. Vimeo? Oh, my goodness. This guy out of date. All right, so let's get the show started. As I always say, whenever I look at a board, I want to first, before I even think about 3 hex spots, before I think about are we cheap or road, I always assess the individual resources. So in this situation, a few things to note. The wheat's kind of interesting, right? Like sheep is maxed out. This is a shepherd's dream. But the wheat's kind of funky monkey because you kind of have this 6-5-9 situation. You got the 3, the 11, the 2. So this 9 is actually quite valuable, especially given the fact that there is a decent amount of ore. Brick, kind of middling down the road, pun intended. Decent amount of wood. Kind of feels like maybe 1 or 2 players will have access to this wood. So to me, the interesting piece is who has the wheat and who's going to use that most effectively. All right. That's kind of the starting place. We are in the 4th position, though, here. I'm ready, SpongeBob. Welcome to the party. Let's go. All right. Do not disturb. Yeah, whenever I press record, it puts me into do not disturb mode. And if anyone calls me when I'm when I'm in this mode, it just kills the video. So I've lost oh my God, I've probably lost 8 to 10 videos because I've got a phone call in the middle of playing Catan. But all right, good luck, have fun. First position, where do you go here? Because of the rarity of the wheat, I'm kind of pressed to go on something like the 6-5-9. I guess you could also value the ore and the brick, which are generally the rarer resources in Catan. So 8-5-10 could definitely be an option too. I think 6-5-9 is pretty decent. Question is, if you point up, are there going to be some potential plow opportunities with the 6-3-11? Not sure. Maybe. Possibly. Overall, I'm feeling pretty decent about this board, though. I feel like there's a lot of options. Like if this board does lock up, let's say like 8-5-10, 6-9-5, 8-4-3, we do have this very, very interesting kind of bottom of the board 6-9-3, 4-5-8 setup. 8-5-10 ore brick. Yeah, I think it's a solid pick. And one thing you could think about is if you do 8-5-10, there's a decent chance 9-10 could be open if you want to play more of a traditional or wheat sheep development card game. But I'm liking my options. There's just a lot of interesting spots. And one thing I'm noticing here is that these big spots, like 8-5-10, 6-9-5, obviously good resources, but the diversity is lacking. You're only getting 2 resources versus there's a lot of 3 resource spots. 6-9-3, 4-5-8, 8-4-3. Well, those are it. But I mean, So first placement goes down, 5-9-10. What do we think? Because immediately when I saw this, I was happy. I was happy, joy. Because now this 9 wheat becomes an open target. So I really was happy with this. And I think someone could take it, maybe second or third, but it's unlikely given the fact that you do have this 5-8-10, you do have the 5-4-8. So I'm seeing this 6-9-12 definitely being an option for us in 4th. So obviously I see what Blue's doing. Blue's playing off the sheep port. I just think the consequence of leaving the 6-9-12 could be problematic because it is a really good spot, especially if someone wants to, maybe play off the 8 or the 6 and the 9 here and have a decent development card game. Bad. This is the thing. Sometimes you got to make these hard decisions in first, and I appreciate the offensive. I do think offensively the 5-9-10 is good, but defensively it's not, right? Because giving that 6-9-12 to somebody can be a pretty big problem here. 8-5-10, makes a ton of sense, right? I mean, this is a huge spot. You're going to have the best ore, the best brick, and you're pointing down to a 3-1 port where you're protecting that 5 brick. Decent. Unfortunately, got to go. Have fun, Danny Crew. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. All right. Third goes 8-4-5. Crew. This was the position that I was faced with. And I'm pretty happy. I'm not going to lie with you guys. I am pretty happy. So let's throw out some ideas. What do you guys like? What do you want to do? Obviously, we have the 693. 693 is always a Dandy Crew favorite. This is the fun thing is in this situation, because of the way blue plays, we have a lot of options here. So I want to hear some ideas, and then we can obviously start to break it down. 6-9-12. Well, we go back to back, right? So you get 2 spots, which is also like if people make mistakes in first and second, usually it really benefits fourth, right? Because if the board opens up, now we have a lot to work with. 8-4-3, 6-9-12, 6-9-12. Then the 6-9-3 use the instant road to reach to the 4 ore. Okay. So you're thinking about this kind of build to the 4-3. Could be a little risky too, right? Because then if this player gets the 8-4-3 and he rolls a couple brick, he might be able to plow you. So your hopes and dreams of getting the ore are not quite there. So I think there's a few options here. Typically, when I see a player take like the 8-5-10 and point down, where they're kind of not contesting either of these settles, well, primarily the 3-1 port, that does interest me, right? Because I like to have options in terms of settle spots. I do think Wise's decision here of the 8-4-3 and the 6-9-12 is correct. Because, well, we're going to have the best ore, at least individual ore. We're going to have the second best available brick. And the kicker here, remember what I said was rare on this board, right? 8-4-3, 9-10, 11. Okay, so you're going for like the double. This is like, yeah, so it's like the double wheat, the double ore, then you got the sheep. That's fair. I think the kicker here for me, if I go 8-4-3, 6-9-12, is that I actually have dominance on the wheat. And what I'm actually calculating here is that if I take this setup, then this player is probably going to go 6-9-3, play off the wood port. Probably some interesting decisions in terms of how the middle gets placed for blue and orange. But I feel like I got a pretty interesting game. I can trade a lot of my wheats. I've got good or wheat sheep. The wood's an issue, but this player's going to be flooded with wood anyway. So I like this prospect. 10-3-11, 6-9-3 seems good too. 10-3-11, 6-9-3, and then like you maybe point down. That's probably Cosmic. That's probably a little bit more of like a road game where you're trying to get to one of these open spots and then maybe make a connect play. What I'm seeing here is I think I can play development cards. I think I can play devs. I think I can do it pretty well. I'm going to have dominance on the wheat, good tradability, good brick. So as much as I want to entertain the road game, I don't think it's probably my best play here. So I'm going to just fast forward a little bit, deciding on where to start. Also very interesting thinking about your starting hand here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think I take the 8-4-3. But the wood's interesting. I do think the brick is valuable here. And potentially, starting with the ore and the wheat, I can potentially build an early city if I get a couple good rolls. Okay, make your decision, Danny. There it is. All right. 6-9-3 goes down. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is a killer setup, by the way. I was actually joking in chat at some point, I recall, saying to Black, like, I wanted your setup. Just because it's huge production, all the space. The wood port's really nice. 6-3-11. See, this is the thing. This guy, Orange, he's going to have a ton of ore. He's going to have a decent amount of sheep. But the wheat's going to be his weakness, and that's something that I think we're going to definitely be able to enjoy in this game. Called it. Why? So, what's the edge versus others? Well, one, I think I have a skill edge, generally speaking, right? I'm just going to out-optimize my opponents. So, there's that. The thing is, like, when you're playing Catan and you have, like, really good fundamentals, it's not about always having the most insane winning setup. I mean, at the end of the day, there is an optimal play component to this, right? So, like, I just think given my ability to trade, to not waste my time or waste my cards, this is a setup I can work with. I can trade the wheat. The brick has some utility. I do have really good 6-9, 6-9-8 or wheat sheep. I've got options here. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see. Why not the 6-11-12 with road to wheat port? 6-11-12 road to wheat port. That's an option. All right, so why not the 6-11-12? Can someone maybe tell me an idea to why I didn't take that? First, free sub to first person to tell the capital of Australia. What's up, Ice? Yeah, can someone explain why the 6-11-12 was not the play? There is a concrete reason, by the way, and we'll definitely break it down. But it's a good question. Big dump, slow, need 2 4s. All right. Funny enough, I don't even know. So there's 2 good points here to squash this point. The city quality is not great, right? Like, but it's also just slow. Like, ideally, when you're playing a development card game, you don't usually have the luxury to get a ton of settles, right? Like, I don't have a lot of wood and brick here. Well, now I don't have a lot of wood at all with the 12. But ideally, I want to be able to get 1 road settle to a decent port. I want to drop a city, and I want to buy devs. That's all my brain's saying. The problem is if you're doing this whole thing where you need to go 6-11-12, then I need to produce 2 brick, road settle onto the 9, then I can start getting more wheat. It's just too slow. So generally, don't have a development card setup that has too much to do, because you're probably going to get outpaced in that process. All right, somebody got a sub. Dude, my cats are going crazy in the background here. All right, so we got a game here. Just to assess here, so orange takes the 3-10-11. I don't hate it. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, at this point, they're going to play a development card game. The 10 is definitely kind of an iffy roll. If it shows up, they can buy devs and do well. Really, I think their game needs the 9-4-11 here to really survive, so they can up their ore production, because they have a ton of wheat, a ton of sheep. The ore is the lacking property here for sure. So let's get going. Now, objectives in this game, I want to do a few things. I want to city the 8-4-3. I think that's going to be one of our winning plays for sure. And I want to get a port. You know, I've already mentioned this. No big surprise there. So everything I'm going to be doing is going to be based around that. Now, if my hand gets stuck, maybe I might buy dev, but I'm going to try to build a city and get a port. It's very simple. My brain works very simple here. Obviously, too, I'm going to be looking for wood trades with black, which I think I can peddle a lot of my extra wheat to him, because he has no wheat. So it seems like a pretty logical trade and situation for us. All right, so we already seeing a wheat for non-block. I am going to take this. And the thing is, the funny thing with this situation with black, I'm taking any deal with him regarding wheat, because the likelihood of him throwing me a decent card, whether it's my sheep's not horrible, but if he's throwing me wood, it's like it's a trade I would do anyways, right? So it's a no-brainer for me to take this deal. Blue praying for road builder. That's true. Yeah. I mean, for these pure, look at this. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, road builder would be probably one of the best devs for me and for blue. Yeah. We got tons of wheat, and away we go. Now, this is an important thing. I think a lot of people pop in this situation when they have that hand. I don't agree with that. Because, again, what's our goals? We're going for the port for efficiency's sake, and we're going for the city for effectiveness. So I'm just 2 rolls away from a city. I'm going to take that risk, versus if I pull a knight, that's great, but then the city build becomes a little bit harder, a little bit slower. So I'd rather just kind of be patient, you know, and kind of play it that way. Do you prefer to build the city before the port, or the other way around? So Giscarni, I don't really have a preference. It's kind of like whatever happens the fastest. If I can like facilitate the trades to get me to the port, I'll do it. If I can facilitate the trades to get me the city, I'll do it, right? These are both objectives that I'm conscious of, and I'm just trying to do it the most efficient way I possibly can. Aren't there times you should pop early? Yes. Yeah. So I would say, generally speaking, well, if you pull an early mono, I tend to pop a lot more, because, well, I can usually make up for the fact that I don't have the production from the city from the mono. So that's maybe a tell of me. If you see I'm popping a ton, maybe I have a mono in my back pocket. Also, like if you want to manage your hand, maybe you're at 6 or 7 cards and you don't want to pass, sure, buy a dev. But I really try my best to focus on my 2 main objectives. Okay, blue's got a robber here. Interesting. Solo, I think that's a pretty bad play from blue. Keep in mind we are in placements here. But I don't know, maybe that was a little bit of spite. I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And funny enough, like the 8 ore is such a good block for blue, excuse me, that, you know, I have to think that was just an emotional play, unless he was looking for a specific card. But yeah, it looks like he's looking for wood. I don't know. Probably could have made a deal there. Another 7. So some interesting blocks here for orange. I think the 9 wheat's good. I don't like the 5 personally. I mean, everyone has a secondary source of sheep. I think you just got to kill the 9, and blue gets his 10. Yeah, see, here's this excess wheat. And I'm going to try to pedal this to black as much as I can. We're at 5 cards. I think we can hold here. We're not... Yeah, so now we're getting to 6 cards. I think this is a situation. Maybe if I don't have an actual hand, I might pop a dev. But again, prefer not to. So the real like was saying, which port is the high priority here? Definitely the 3-1. I mean... I'm not actually that big on 2-for-1 ports unless I just have a massive amount of production on it. The 3-1 is just great flexibility across everything. And like, let's say I do pull a mono or I do make some interesting trades, I can always keep my hand moving. Okay. So this is a perfect situation. I don't remember exactly how I played this, but I'm assuming I'm popping here. Yep. So that's just one of those situations. Clear my hand, 8 rolls, perfect. Black does get the settle down, which I think is like his whole play, right? Like he needs the wood port. Might paint him as a little bit of a target though. Blue also gets a city, 3, 10, 11. Yep, makes a lot of sense. So something to note, like because we've only built a road, like it's pretty nice. Like we get to kind of pace under the radar a little bit. 5 rolled. So I'm going to go back to the well, right? Wood for brick. Or sorry, wheat for wood. Excuse me. Okay. So I'm asking in chat, will you do a wood for a wheat? I try not to extort too much. I do find it's like overdone in the current meta. Anonymous gifter, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Another perfect hand here. Pop again, right? So that's that situation where I am at that 7 cards. I can kind of keep the pops moving. Again, I prefer to build a city, but eventually we'll get some good stuff, right? So blue gets the knight here. I do think it's the 8. I definitely think it's the 8 here, but depends how he feels about black's position. Again, thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the subs and you guys showing up. Oof. That's probably the worst roll for me, right? Because if the 10's rolling, I mean, that means both blue and orange are getting development cards or dropping cities. It's a pretty bad roll. Brick. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so we're going to flippity-do night. We're going to do wood for wheat here. This is probably about as much as I'm going to extort. I really just want to get the port down. I'm kind of pinging on black here. Hey, you want to do it? He's not really... Okay. Hopefully we can get something good here. Damn. All right. Wheat for wood. Boom. All right. So let's talk about the state of the board real quick. I always have a Cosmic Muffin. Good to see you. Yeah, we'll talk about pacing. We'll talk about kind of what's going on, but we're doing great, right? I mean, we've just effectively doubled our production. We have 2 nights played. Like, life is good in our setup. I have always a problem of finding balance between pacing on the radar and just falling behind. Well, I think the one thing to note here is that generally in ranked, 2-for-1 ports are people get scared of them pretty bad, right? So like black kind of getting that early wood port might bring some attention to him. Blue getting that early city also brings a lot of attention. It's not that great of a city, right? Like under the assumption the 10's going to roll, sure, it could do something. But he's doubled the 3, he's doubled the 11. And as long as I'm pulling knights, I can keep that 10 under lock. Personally, like I feel like we're just in a really good place as far as how we're pacing this. And we're also pacing army. So, you know, if we can get an early city and then start to buy more devs, we're looking pretty strong. What up, crew? Look at that. There we go. That double door production coming in. So far, so good. I'm liking how this is playing. If you're blue, would you city the 3, 10, 11? I think you have to, because like I said earlier, your orc production is your lacking factor. But also, this is kind of the issue. He kind of has this weaker or weak sheep, in my opinion. So it is what it is, I guess. I mean, the alternative is he puts it onto the 5, 9, 10, and he goes for the sheep port. But then again, he doesn't have any bricks, so that trek might take a long time. So I think he has to 3, 10, 11 and pray the 10 show up. Okay, so we're seeing a knight. Put it on the 5. This is shocking to me right now. But again, right, because of the wood port and because of the city, I don't think he's blocking me, but he needs to realize that I'm actually his competitor. So this is a good thing to know. Hello, friends. Nuke, good to see you, man. Good to see you. We've played some games on the run, by the way. I know we've talked about that, so good to have you here. Yeah, I mean, to me, there's 2 stages of blocking. In the early stages, you want to block for win condition, right? So if I'm fighting army against somebody, I will religiously block that person until I secure army. Now, obviously, there's nuances to that, right? Like, I'm not going to just block somebody just because. Like, I want to make sure no one else is going to win. But in this situation, the fact that I'm beating him on knights right now and he's not blocking me is a mistake. You know what I mean? So you have to realize that. Because if I get army, Orange's game is almost impossible to win. Almost impossible to win. After you secure your win condition, then what you want to do is you want to start focusing on the other win condition competitor, right? So who's ever going to contest road, you want to slow them down so they don't have a massive advantage. So I think Orange not realizing that I'm kind of beating him in the game that he needs to play is a strategic mistake. It just feels like the 10 block is killer. It is, man. And unfortunately, right now in this situation, it's rolling. And I say in the chat, this 10 LOL. Well, it's only funny to me. Perfect. All right. So first little strategic nuance here. I popped there because I have 1 ore in hand, so I'm 1-8 away from a city. Mono's huge. This, like, at this point, I don't necessarily have to worry about the city as much because I can always mono a ton of ore, you know, whether the 10 rolls a few times. But this is a huge pull for us. By the way, welcome. I know we had some new people come in. 8 makes a lot of sense. I think I'm a fair hit here, assuming I have army in hand. I said I'll do non-block for non-block here. He takes it. He 7s out. I think a good block here is the 6 now, right? If blue is going for devs, he needs to kill the dev machine, and the 6 is certainly a problem for that. So we'll see where he blocks. Appreciate everyone showing up, sharing your support. I'm super glad to be back. We're going to have videos hitting the channel tomorrow. Well, video. Very rarely. Yeah, see, this is just a mistake. For whatever reason, I don't know why. Like, I'm happy, but I don't know why they're not hitting me. And that's very rare for me to say. Oh, Cosmic, thank you for the prime. Appreciate that. But you can see, like, by definition, we're pacing pretty well because, like, I think we've got robbed once. Did we even get robbed? I don't even know. By the way, I think leading up to this game, I was 6 for 9. So I was looking pretty good on win rate, which I'll feature those games at some point. Another 7. So it's interesting. We're still not getting blocked. I'll do 2 cards here. Hope Mama Dandy's doing well. She is, man. I appreciate that so much. Unfortunately, she just lost her hair today. So she's kind of dealing with that. But this is, these are how the things go. She's a fighter, though. She'll do well. Pull another dev, got a road builder. So we're getting some interesting pulls here, right? I mean, we're getting all the utility, we're getting the mono, we're getting the road builder. Where do you want to go with the road builder? Can we get some ideas? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to see? That's a great pull for us, by the way. Yep, big block here. We're still not getting hit. Wild. I should see a knight here from orange. 3 down devs. I'd be absolutely shocked if they didn't have one. That makes a lot of sense. Still not getting hit. Still not getting hit. This is my dream. I wish I could just play every Catan game where, I never get robbed. And there's interesting heuristics I've noticed when people play ranked. This idea of like, yeah, I'm going to go for the 2-card meta. We love the 2-card meta, especially if we can get that wood, knowing that we're trying to get to somewhere with the road builder. People just have weird heuristics, right? The city's a big problem a lot of times. 2-for-1 ports are a really big problem in ranked. So I just kind of like the fact that we just have a very straightforward setup. Like there's no frills to it. It allows us to do what we want to do without like looking too dangerous or too tricky. Sometimes like just having a solid setup is all you need. All right, so we're looking for good rolls here. Dude, these 7s are wild. So many 7s. 6-5-11 isn't needed. The thing is, well, let me ask you, where would you go then? How do you not go 6-5-11 if you have settled in hand? Yeah, look at this. This is great. This is great. 6-5-11 is a monster spot. I mean, we're talking... that's a spot that somebody could take as their starting settle, Break is perfect. Here we go. Back to the well. And again, this is that trade that usually black likes, right? Because he produces a ton of wood, but he doesn't have the wheat. So I'm typing the black here. Any wood to trade, black. Road builder 994. Oh, 2 settle spots. Look. So what's funny? What's funny here? I do wheat for wood. He says no. I say any wood to trade black. He says yeah for wheat. I don't get it. So this is one of those things like don't give up. Sometimes maybe people are not zoned into the game. It's just one of those things. I don't know. But yeah, we're definitely going 6-5-11 here. And what I like about this is it's a ton of production. Remember, we have the mono. We have a ton of wheat now, so like there's a lot of opportunities there. And it does also open up potential road plays, right? Because now we are 2 roads away, so you never know. If we pull a yacht, we pull another road builder, we could use that potentially for the longest. All right, so now we're at 4 points, mono in hand. Got the brick as well, which is super nice. You never know when you might need it. So I'm going to see if potentially I can get a sheep for wood. Unlikely. A lot of sheep on this board. I think wood has a lot more value than a 1-for-1. But again, you got to try. Now, I do want to still fight army. I think that's probably going to be the way I'm going to win this game. But just looking at the situation where I have 2 players that have already played 2 knights, probably will lose army and we'll probably either have to forego it or fight it back. But my goal with this mono is potentially to get maybe 2 cities, maybe get a city and a couple pops, and all of a sudden like we could pace army really nicely. So I think just being patient here is going to pay off. Hey Danny Drew, are you still in the Catan community Discord? Not on Danny Drew. I am on one of my alts still from a while ago. But yeah. I had like a mass exodus from the Discords a while back, just kind of like cleansing and refreshing and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do in the community. All right, so I'm looking for some trades here. See, can I sell any of my wheat, any of my brick? I'm trying to buy a dev here. I was not successful, so I pass. Huge roll. Huge roll. And I'm currently looking at the situation. We have at least 6 ore on the board, so typically I'm not going to mono unless I know I'm going to get, like I said, a city and a pop or 2 pops, 2 cities. So this is kind of getting into mono territory, which is great because, well, I only have 1 dev, right? So I'm going to see if I can stockpile some wheat. This was what this trade is. I'm getting rid of my brick, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but it's because I want to be able to get as much wheat as I can. So when I mono the ore, I can drop potentially 2 cities. Chances for the double play here. I definitely think I definitely think with our production and our ability to keep pulling devs, I think the double play is a real threat. Bruh. I don't get it. Still not getting blocked. So maybe in Orange's eyes, he's thinking that he has army, so now he needs to block the guy who's going to get road. But it's not clear to me, given Orange's flexibility, that he can hold army. So again, I still think like hitting this 9, slowing down the guys that can take away your win condition, especially with black being at 4 points. These are just not optimal plays in my opinion. So yeah, like we're kind of sitting pretty here, right? We're at 4 points. We don't have a city, which I think is actually working for us. But the thing is, our production's so good that it's almost like the city doesn't matter. The 8's already doubled with the settlement, so that's the biggest thing for me. I produce so much wheat that having the 8 double is pretty big here. I think this is a double pop situation. Pull once, pull twice, another road builder. So let me ask you, where are we going with this road builder now? Where do we go? Same road builder. 9-4-11, yeah. Assuming we get it, right? Assuming we get it. Yeah, 9-4-11 is like, I mean, at this point we have 6-9-12, 6-5-11, 9-4-11, 8-4-3. That's pretty disgusting, you know? Pretty disgusting. If settled in hand, of course, yeah. And again, because I'm assuming Orange can get robbed here, I don't remember. But because he has army, he has the city, he's got the open settle, I'm assuming Orange comes off more of a threat. But let's see. Yeah, look at that. Still not getting robbed, man. Still not getting robbed. I love it. I love it. As a general rule, this is something that's good to take note of. And a mistake that I see players make all the time. Count every dev as worth 3 points. Right? Because obviously VPs are a point. Road builder's easily a point for me. Potentially 2 or 3 points if I'm taking road with it. Effectively, I'm on like 7-8 points here. And I guess technically Orange is also on 7, but he doesn't have the port. He only has 1 down dev. He can lose army. So I think that was a little bit of a strategic mistake here. Pokey, what is good, man? Coming with the vibe check. Good to see you, man. Just beat my guy in person. Oh, bruh. Nicely done. Nicely done. That's cool, man. It's awesome you guys got to meet in person and play some games. And hopefully the vibes were good. You guys had a good time. He a monster. My guy's he's a great player, man. Okay, so wheat port's pretty good here for blue. My concern for blue, though, is that... dude, my cats are going crazy. They're going crazy in the background. I'm hearing things crashing and bumping. I think blue's just a little bit too late to the party. He's got the port, but how does he win the game? He needs army. We've got 3 players that are essentially going for army. I just don't think he's got enough juice and time to like realize a setup. There we go. Look at that. Who needs wood trades? See, now that our production's up, we don't even need a trade for the wood, right? We can roll 1-6 and then, ooh. All right. We're going to stomp this guy's life. Yeah. So we absolutely take the settle here. And typically speaking, I wouldn't be so thrilled. Yeah, I mean, it just looks like we're on 9 points. Typically speaking, I wouldn't be so thrilled that we have no settle, or sorry, no city. But again, the mono compensates for that, because we can easily mono a couple ore, we can mono a ton of sheep or something to get that city point that we need, and the 12. It's a beautiful thing. Goated vibes. Wow. That's a big statement, man. Big statement. Seven comes out. Can't really hurt us here. I mean, he can steal the ore. Probably the wood steal's the worst. Yeah, I mean, the sheep is... Who cares about the sheep? Block the 10. Beautiful. At this point, the 10's such a good block for us, right? Because we're already doubled on the 8. We're going to go for army. Essentially, we're going to see if we can facilitate a double play. And also with the mono in hand, I mean, it's like the position's just so insane here. Oh, sorry. I'm so... Even on my iPad, I'm horrible with the screen. I'm sorry, guys. As far as my brain was concerned, I'm just looking at the top of the board, so... This lobby is getting 1%ed. It's looking pretty rough for them. Drop the road on the 12. I don't even care about the settle. For me, it's just extending road. Give me a settle spot. Give me, potential options here. One thing to note too, the reason when I plowed black and I hit the 8, because ultimately, like, if I'm taking road, I also want to make sure that he's not going to snipe it back. So, like, I'm trying to balance the robs here so that I can facilitate the double play. If I only hit orange here, like, sure, I might get army, but then a couple 8s roll, all of a sudden black does have the ability to connect, and the double play becomes a little bit more problematic. I mean, we're probably winning without it, but that's not the point. We're trying to play optimal here. Also, not a good block here, right? Like, if anything, I think this probably hurts orange more than it hurts me, simply for the fact that we already have the sheep. Yep, makes a lot of sense. Takes the wood, takes the brick. What a beast. What a beast. So in this situation, if we can facilitate another dev here, maybe we might mono the ore. We're practically right there on the money to take the game. Woo! That's the roll. That's the roll we want to see, especially if we're going for the mono. True example of big difference between playing anonymously and being Dandy Drew. Well, Orang, to be fair, Orang is actually a pretty well-known account. Like, I've played on the stream a few times. And I got recognized as well a few times during this run. Oh, it's... Here, it's a no-brainer. We're going to take the ore. Always set up the dirty mono. And I think we get 2 pops here. At least. There's army. Perfect city in hand. Where do you city, by the way? This is a very interesting moment. Where do you city? And I think some players would make a mistake here. 9-4-11, 9-4-11. You guys don't like the 8-4-3 here? 9-4-11, 9-4-11. Okay. All right. I'd like to think I've taught some of you well. Yes. Yeah, so, like, this is the thing, like, don't be so stubborn. With the 8-4-3 being blocked, it's not a good city right now versus, like, okay, the 4 is not as much ore as the 8, but it's blocked, and the 4 is not. So, from that standpoint, like, I want to kind of take advantage of the current situation. And of course, the 9 rolls. It's perfect. It's beautiful. 6-9-12. No, I kind of like the ore wheat sheep play here. Probably don't even need it. I mean, I guess the 6 becomes a free card, but we got so much sheep at this point. It doesn't even matter. Now, our biggest threat is if black decides to take road. Which we just got to pray that he can figure out that situation. My problem is that I would have placed the city randomly, assuming I already had the game. Man, never, ever take your foot off the gas. I think that's the one thing you'll notice, like, when you start to, if you play in the Discord, or you play against really good players, they're brutal. Like, they're never going to give you space or time to figure the situation out. Like, very rarely does anyone, like, at least for me, even if I'm in a dominant position, like, okay, I'm not going to like table talk as much, and I'm going to like let the board figure it out. But Catan's just a crazy game. You never know. Someone might have a mono, and that would be GG. We're going to pop for the funds of it. I don't think. And we get the VP, and we flip the knight, 11 points. And after all of that, 1481. After all of that, 1481. Yeah, so this was the final placement game. But I can't think of a more perfect game to like share with you than this, right? Like, we never got robbed. We pulled perfect devs. We got army. We got road. There was all the stats there. Nice little middle finger from the 7. We got, I think, a lot of decent trades. We had a good plan. We got a ton of production on our way to getting road. I think that was great. Really glad to see you back, Brad P. I appreciate that, man. I really do. It's been, it's been a hellacious month. It's been kind of crazy. I got a lot of personal stuff going on. Obviously, my mother, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer, and she's been battling that, and just trying to be as supportive as I can to her as her only son. So to me, like, I love doing this. I love being here for the community. I love playing Catan. And it's kind of nice. I kind of grinded early to see if I can get to the top of the leaderboard, and as part of my return. So here we are. Appreciate you kind of allowing me to share that with you. I thought it was an interesting game. Very rarely do I have such a good position and situation, and I'm not getting robbed. And it just kind of shows you these little heuristics of, you know, that early city or that early 2-for-1 port actually might not be as good as you think if you're going to be consistently robbed. So I don't know if I could have played this more optimally. I'm sure I could. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm saying, like, this was just a good example of like staying under the radar, doing the right things at the right time, and it paid off pretty handsomely, I think. People don't really talk about the, like, how taxing it can be to create content consistently, and like the management of it. I work a full-time job as well, and that's, you know, keeping me super busy. So sometimes you just got to learn how to balance your life, your priorities, and also your people too. I think one thing, like, at least for me as I've gotten older, like, how can I say this? Everyone you bring in your life will have like a cost in a sense, right? Like, whether it's your attention, whether it's like your time. And I think as I've gotten older, I've just been more focused on like finding quality time, quality people, quality situations. And it's hard. You're like a marble statue, you know, like when you first start out, it's just there, not carved, but slowly you chisel away. And at the end, you know, you chisel away 80% of it, but you have like this beautiful, you know, statue that you've carved out very intentionally. So I find I try to do more, not by adding in life, but by subtracting, if that makes sense.